Okay, so I have to go off to do calculations because I have to see the scores and also do the calculations. But that's okay because I'm giving you time to figure it out for yourselves. So let's see. I get 424 for the sum of x squared. So when I add up all these squared things, I get 424. And then when I add up all the x's, I got 60. And you square that and then divide by n, and n is the number of the total number of scores, so that's 9. So I got 424 minus 3600 divided by 9, and I get, when I calculate that out, I get 24 as my answer. So 24. So the sum of squares total is 24. So let's put it in there. 24. Sum of squares total is 24. So all the spread between the groups, the spread within the groups, all of that adds up to 24. I've got 24. The spread is 24. None of these numbers can be bigger. These two numbers have to add to 24. So let's calculate the between groups sum of squares. And we need, in order to do that, we need 3,600, so 400. So this was 424. This was 424 minus 400. And that's where I got the 24. This whole thing right here was 400. And we're going to need to keep that. This 400 right here is what's called a correction factor. Correction factor. We're going to use totals to compute the sum of squares up here, but when we use the totals, we got to turn them into means, and we're going to do that by subtracting out this correction factor. So we're going to save that for a minute. Okay, so sum of squares between groups, and here's how I'm going to calculate it. I'm going to take the total for group 1 and square that, and add that to the total for group 2, and I'm going to square that as well, and add that to the total for group 3. We're going to square that. Divide by the number of scores that went into each total. So how many scores are going into each of these totals? If I take the total for 1, aspirin, how many scores go into that? 5, 7, and 8. That's 3. This number's 3, because there are 3 scores in each of these totals. Okay. So, and then subtract off the correction factor. So I get, take the total for group 1, so 8 and 7 is 15, plus 5 is 20, so I get 20 for that first one. Square that, add that to the total for group 2, so 6 and 5 is 11, and 4 is 15, so 15 squared, add that to group 3, so 8 and 8 is 16, and 9 is 25, so add that squared. Divide by the number of scores that went into each total, and subtract off this correction factor right here, 400. Okay, so let's calculate that. So 20 squared is 400. 15 squared is 225. 25 squared is 625. And then we add up all that, divide by 3, and subtract 400. So go ahead on and do that for me. Click.